Hello, and welcome to my channel. Hey everyone, welcome back to Andrew's Wizardly Reads, and today we are going to be doing a sort of classic fantasy recommendation video. This came as a request from one of the members of the Discord, Narsil, so this one's for him, because he specifically asked me to do it. Now, I'm going to be defining classic as any book that's basically 20 years or older, and this is I've got a couple sci-fi picks, but mostly this is fantasy. Before we get into the video, go ahead and like and subscribe so that you can get regular updates from when I post new content. I post every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. So, without any further ado, let's get into it. Alright, so I'm going to be starting off with a group that I have read and I remember very well. I am, of course, going to start off with Tad Williams' The Dragonbone Chair, which is the first book of Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn. This is a very, very influential fantasy series. I believe George R.R. Martin cited this series as inspiration for A Song of Ice and Fire. I believe some themes were also taken from The Wheel of Time, but I can't entirely be sure of that. This is a very, very dense book series. It is a trilogy, but the third book was so long that it had to be broken up into 2 parts. And if you get the mass market paperback, you're looking at around 1,400 pages, if not more, just to complete the third book. It is very well worth it, but it is very dense. The lore and the world building is just very intense. It doesn't really even get started until 30%. But if you can get pushed past that, it is absolutely amazing. This book actually holds a very special place in my heart because it is the last series that I got to really buddy read with my uncle before he passed. And for that reason, I'll always recommend Memory, Sorrow, and Thorn, and I just absolutely love this series. For anybody who knows me in the Discord, Old Goldie, just the gold standard for me is going to be Eye of the World. I know a lot of people don't like it, or you either like it or you don't like it. The Eye of the World is just the start of a fantastic journey. The Wheel of Time it's my all-time favorite. I know it's got its flaws, but just the characters, the world building. I mean, you know what everybody looks like in this series down to the way they dress. I mean, Robert Jordan just did such a fantastic job crafting this world. And if you're looking for something that's just super solid, it pulls and borrows heavily and pays homage to tons and tons and tons of historical fiction to just classic fiction. It borrows from The Lord of the Rings. There's Arthurian legend in here, but it's just so great. And if you haven't picked this up, I know it's a lot. It's a huge investment of your time, but it's well worth it to get through The Wheel of Time. Moving right along, most people don't know, or if you do, you might have forgotten because they've been releasing these nice new illustrated books, and the series has been going through a bit of a renaissance, but the illustrated editions of Farseer were to celebrate its 25th anniversary, which places this solidly in the classic category. I've already dropped a Farseer wrap-up, which I'll go ahead and put the title card up above. Go ahead and watch that if you haven't already, if you want to kind of hear me talk about this a little bit more. And just, the illustrated editions are fantastic, just from the binding, the art. Just, oh, look at that. Oh, beautiful. Just beautiful. I'm gonna always just rave about this. The artwork and the illustrations and the story itself are just amazing. Go ahead and treat yourself and read Farseer. Moving right along, I have just dropped my King's Dragon review. This also came out in the 90s. It is a very good book, a little heavy on the religion, but if you can look past that, I mean, the world building here is right up there with The Wheel of Time. You are in for a treat. These characters just fly off the page. This is a very compelling, very human story. And honestly, I am so looking forward to getting into the second book next month. Actually, at the time of this filming, it'll be next month, but when this video comes out, it'll be this month. Okay, yeah. Moving right along. Now, I haven't read this in a number of years, But I just recently saw on Mike's book reviews that these were coming out in an omnibus format. Terry Brooks just recently wrapped up Shannara after 40 years. This is just an absolute delight. It's very, very classic. I can't really tell you a whole lot about it because I haven't really read it. It's been 15, 20 years, but as soon as I saw this bind up, I had to go and buy it. My only complaint with it is, if you can see, it's got those kind of rough edges, which sometimes that bothers me, sometimes it doesn't. I'm sure I'm going to absolutely enjoy this. This even is the 25th anniversary edition. I just saw that, and it's got that nice sword on the cover. So if you're looking for something like that, just absolutely, just amazing. I really look forward to getting to this, and I highly recommend it if you're looking for something classic. Also another oldie, and I just read this in January, is Gardens of the Moon by Steven Erickson, Book 1 of Malazan, Book of the Fallen. This is your big, intimidating boy. This is hard fantasy. It is so epic in scale. Honestly, if you're looking for something intense, this is what I'll point you to. I can't really speak on the series overall, as I am still reading it. I am starting Memories of Ice this month. And so I'm really only a third of the way through it, but I really enjoyed Gardens of the Moon. It starts out with just this amazing battle that just blows your mind. Usually the battle that starts this book off is something that would end a book. And to be just given something like that right off the bat, where it just pulls you in, you're just like, what happened? This almost doesn't read like a classic series, but it very much is. I believe this came out in the 90s. I'm 90% certain that this came out in the 90s, or, yep, 1999, so it does qualify. All right. And then, you know, if it's going to be classic, it's going to be J.R.R. Tolkien's The Lord of the Rings. I absolutely love this edition. It's the 50th anniversary edition. It's got the gilded edges. It's got just gorgeous text where it's got the red, and I can't even bring myself to read this edition. I've actually am probably gonna get like a short Kindle Unlimited edition, because it's available on Kindle Unlimited for free there, well, with the subscription. I can't bring myself to read this edition. It's too nice. But I mean, this is the granddaddy. This is the one who started it all, really. And Lord of the Rings is obviously amazing. Just the Fellowship is awesome. It can be a little dry at times, so I know some people have problems getting into this because it is a bit dry. But the world building is just also amazing. I mean, everybody who started doing world building started doing it because of the Lord of the Rings. So if you haven't read this yet, and you're just big into sci-fi or big into fantasy, and you just love your world building, go back to where it all started. I mean, he invented the own language. He took themes from his time in the wars and implemented that into the books. It's so heartfelt. It's so well done. It's well worth your time. I mean, and as a trilogy, basically this is one book broken up into 3 just because the publishers wanted it that way to make more money. So this reads as one cohesive story. And, I mean, I don't really need to talk this up to you. So, we're going to move on to some stuff that I haven't read, but that I've heard good things about and I'm looking forward to. They are on my TBR, and I do own all of these. Now, we're going to start with April's read-along book for the Wizardly Duo Discord. That is going to be David Gimmel's Legend. This is supposed to be one of the forefathers of the grimdark genre, along with Glenn Cook's The Black Company. It's the book 1 in the Draenei Saga. I don't really know a whole lot about it, but honestly, if you're looking for something classic and you don't want a huge investment like Lord of the Rings that's 900, 1,200 pages, or Malazan, Book of the Fallen, that's probably like the 3rd largest published in existence. I'm pulling that statistic out of nowhere. I have no proof. I know it's up there though. This is 330 pages. I got this for $2.99 at Half Price Books. They're widely available at your used bookstore. Go ahead and pick this up. Give it a shot. You may love it. Moving right along. This was in my most anticipated reads of 2021. This is Magician by Raymond E. Feist, and it is book 1 of the Rift War saga. All I really know about it is that it's about magicians, and that's all I really care to know about it. Now, like I said in the most anticipated, the U.S. binding of this is broken into 2. This is 840 pages for the UK printing, so I don't know why they broke it into 2. That's a very common page count for modern day. Maybe it's just because this was published back in the 80s that was very abnormal, so they broke it apart. But I went ahead and picked up the UK binding, which keeps it all in one. And I actually already have, I haven't even read this, and I've got the other 2 books on the way, so there's that. Another progenitor of the Grimdark saga is the Portal Fantasy, the Chronicles of Thomas Covenant. This is Lord Fowl's Bane, book 1. I was able to score these really old 70s hardcovers off of eBay pretty cheap and in fairly good condition. All it's really got is that little corner bin, which I'm okay with. This is a Portal Fantasy, and like I said, I haven't read it. I do know that some people don't tend to like the first book, but that books 2 and 3 really redeem it. It isn't grimdark, but it is dark fantasy. And I am aware that there is a scene in here that a lot of people don't like. I don't know what the scene is. I'm assuming it is of a sexual nature. And that's really all I'm going to go off on that. So be sure if you pick this up that you are okay with certain dark themes, because this does have them. Other than that, I do look forward to reading it and posting a review sometime in the next few months, hopefully. I've got another big binding here. This is Roger Zelaney's The Great Book of Amber, which is just basically the complete Amber Chronicles, number 1 through 10. Now, this is 1,200 pages, but it is also 10 books. I don't really know a whole lot about this. It came, I believe I saw it as a recommendation over on Daniel Green's channel, maybe last year, or I could have just been going through archived photos. I have heard that this is supposed to be pretty influential. I happened to find it just for like $11 at my local used bookstore, so I just went ahead and snagged it. I'm going to go ahead and give it a recommend just because I have heard good things about it. Alright, and then we're going to do a little bit of classic sci-fi here. I've got The Shadow and Claw, the first half of the Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. This is actually sci-fantasy, and it's from the 80s. I don't know a whole lot about it. I do know that it is supposedly similar to Christopher Rocchio's Sun Eater by pure accident. I was recently watching one of his live chats that he has over on his channel, which I'll link down below, and I asked him in the chat, what are some books that you thought were influential in the making of Sun Eater? Because I'm getting ready to read that this month with Walker Wright 7. And he said a lot of people thought that this had been an influence to the genre because of the similarities, and it was only after book 1 was published that he read these, he absolutely loved them, and then he used them as influence, as a further influence to write books 2 and 3 of Sun Eater. So that is Book of the New Sun by Gene Wolfe. And then just because I want to show it off, I'm going to pick up Dune. The deluxe edition of Dune is absolutely gorgeous. It's got those blue sprayed edges. It's got amazing artwork. It's actually pretty cheap. I think it's like $25-30. The inside of the slipcover's got just gorgeous art right here. And then right on the cover, embossed, is Fear's the Mind Killer. You've got the circle on the back. The gold edges are just, oh, love it. I read Dune in November of last year, and I really, really enjoyed it. I did have to put it down one time because I wasn't in the right mindset. I had too much on my TBR, and I couldn't quite get into the political aspects of this. It is a bit of a dry sci-fi, so make sure you're kind of going in with a clean slate before you get into this. Otherwise, it's super enjoyable. It's epic in scale, and I wasn't initially planning on reading the rest of Frank Herbert's Dune, but I'm starting to toy with the idea because I kind of want to get back to it. And then moving right along, I have got the Barnes & Noble edition binding of the first 3 books of the Foundation trilogy by the sci-fi granddaddy, Isaac Asimov. It's got those nice sprayed edges. I'm not a huge fan of the typeset there. It's not super pretty, but I mean, it's wide line spacing, and so I'm sure I'll get through this pretty quickly. I don't know a whole lot about this other than it's just a progenitor of sci-fi. Anything other than that, I see it all over BookTube. People keep talking about the Foundation series and how if you want to get into further sci-fi, go ahead and give this a shot. So I figured I'd throw that up there as a recommend. I hope to do a full review for each book in here later, either probably sometime next year. We're going to throw that on the 2022 TBR. But really, that is all of the older books that are 20 years and older that I have. So if you've got any other recommendations, go ahead and leave those in the comments down below. And if you'd like to jump into the Discord and talk books with us, the link is down in the description below. Until next time, stay magical, y'all. Peace out. Bye.